Alright folks, Sapper here, aka Sean. Yeah, it's been a while since I've done a video, but I've been doing a couple other things, playing a lot of video games lately. But I decided to finally get out MBT at the request of a couple of you folks here on Solitaire Games on Your Table. And this game is definitely not for the faint of heart. It is a super rules dense, table driven game. I'm not quite sure how I feel about it yet, but I guess time will tell. You know, it's one of those things where you kind of, you know, you can't just jump into this game and yeah, I'll just skim through the rules and make it work. It's one of those you're going to do a lot of referencing, cross-referencing, double-checking, triple-checking, hunting down rules and things of that nature. But I'll cover that probably in a different video, kind of like a rant video or something like that. But basically, we've got the Americans versus the Soviets sometime in the 1980s. Here's our overall map. The Americans started on this edge over here, and obviously the Soviets started over here along this edge. Let's see here. I marked off the objectives on the map with these white cubes. So we have a bridge. There's a ford point right there. The rivers are impassable, except at obviously where there's a bridge and or a ford site. So we have two objectives here. We have a bridge right there. We have a bridge right here. We have a ford site right here. I believe there's just the 5. Yeah, there's just the 5 objectives that we're competing over. So anyway, the Americans started out over here. We'll call this the east. There's really no orientation specified in the book, and these maps aren't representative of actual places. So the Americans started over here. They decided that we were going to concentrate most of our efforts at the town right here to get this site, because if I'm not mistaken, I believe this objective and this objective are actually worth more victory points than the ones to the south. So the plan was to take the hill so that we would have the high ground and be able to shoot down into the Soviets. And then we also moved some guys up in this gap right here, utilizing cover from the woods. Soviets kind of had the same plan. They lined up all their forces over here to the west, and they wanted to hit the main objectives as well. So the first turn was spent just moving into position, and then the second turn was a little bit of movement, and it is now starting to do some of the fighting. The way a turn structure goes is you have spotting first, spotting phase, the command phase. Now some of these things I'm not using, there's just so much stuff. So the rules in black are basic rules, the bullet points in red are advanced, and then the blue highlights are optional rules, and there's a ton of optional rules. But first we do spotting, then we do command. You place your commands first. Now this is a hidden information game, so it's not necessarily going to work well for most solitaire players unless, you know, you're a war gamer and don't mind playing both sides. I don't mind playing both sides, and my short-term memory is kind of, you know, short anyway, so it's fine with me. So you place your commands first. You have, let's see, you have move, you have fire, you have overwatch, you have short halt, which is fire then move, and then you have finally no commands. And you get a set number of commands based upon how many units are in your force. So you place your commands first, and they're supposed to be face down so your opponent can't see it. Then you do initiative. And then the person who wins initiative decides who the first player is. Now there's advantages to having that. The first player gets to shoot first in combat. Combat happens after initiative, so combat and then movement. So the first player gets to shoot first but move second. So you can see kind of where the advantages lie. So if you're already in position, it might be advantageous to you to shoot first. And then when all the firing is done, then go ahead and move. So that's kind of the way a turn works. It's spotting, place your commands, determine initiative, combat, then movement, and then pretty much the end. Now there's other phases in there that I'm not playing, you know, the air phase, and there's plenty of things that I'm not using as well. There's so much to this game. So basically, the second turn, the Soviets decided that they wanted to go first. They wanted to be the first player because they wanted to shoot first. They have already set up in this town. Okay, of course, this tank is sitting on the bridge, which is an objective. So we have one tank on the bridge. We have two tanks in this town guarding this intersection right here. We have some wheeled armored personnel carriers. They dismounted their troops. So we have an anti-tank guided missile team right here, and we have a machine gun team here. We have another platoon of tanks. There's 4 tanks right here that they're going to try to keep this area right here, or overwatch this area right here. And then we have some more. We have another platoon of tanks with the company commander who's got the red cube. And then we also have a team or a platoon of motorized infantry going to hold down that objective right there. So let's see, we move that. We've got, that looks like a BTR-70, which is a wheeled armored personnel carrier. So that's what the Soviets' plan is going to, or they were going to do. So they wanted to shoot first, which is what they did. I just got done resolving the combat phase. Movement phase is pretty straightforward for just about any war game. The combat phase is where it really gets intense, because you have, if you can just look at that, I mean, that's kind of mind-numbing. All that's for combat. All right, and then you have your vehicle counters, which basically the only information on a vehicle counter, that's just movement, and that's all that is. And not on a road has a track. The T is for track, so he can move 5 hexes if you're not on a road. He can move 7 hexes on a path, and he can move 11 hexes on the road. And that's the way every single piece is. So you have all that information there, and then of course we have our super chart right here, which it's double-sided front back, and then our vehicle cards also have just tables and tables and tables of information. So it's a lot of information. So we just got done resolving the combat step. Soviets fired first. So I think I started here, and you can see that they fired at these M150s. They're basically armored personnel carriers with a tow missile launcher on top. So there was 2 tanks. They both fired. I think they managed to take out one of the M150s. Yeah, there's that BU that's brewed up, which basically means that they hit the vehicle and then it just blew up. All the ammunition inside is cooking off and on fire and everything. You also have knocked out, which means basically the vehicle, the crew inside's dead, but it's not a burning wreck. So we knocked out, we brewed up one of the M150s. The other one we managed to immobilize it. Got a track hit. He is on higher ground, so it takes into account all that stuff. It takes hit angles into account. It takes into account if somebody's on higher elevation. You know, if somebody's up higher, it's harder to hit them in the tracks, but he did hit him in the track. So these first 2 tanks over here, shot and killed one of those guys. This tank here on the bridge then fired at the remaining armored personnel carrier, because that's the only one he could see. Couldn't see these guys. Right here we couldn't see through all this. This is crops and scrub, so there's just so many crops and scrub in the way that these guys are basically concealed by a lot of cover. So anyway, he fired, missed. Then I believe we had this group of tanks over here. They fired across the river over to this platoon of tanks here. It's a platoon of 3. The Soviets managed to completely take out one, and the other 2 were fine. Let's move that back there. And then we had another small combat over here. There was a tank here. He fired, took out one of the American tanks here. There was 3, now there's only 2. So that was all the Soviet turn. We had group here, and then a single tank here. So then it was the Americans' turn to fire back. So the remaining 2 tanks fired that tank, managed to destroy him and knock him out. And then this tow missile launcher fired at this tank, and basically nothing happened. Soviet tanks of this era are pretty impervious to heat rounds, high explosive anti-tank rounds, because they have explosive reactive armor, which this vehicle here fires heat rounds. That's the only choice that he gets. So basically the heat round hit the front of that tank, didn't do anything. So that's pretty much where I'm at right now as far as the combat phase goes. Now the movement phase will take into effect. So only vehicles that have a move counter on them, like this stack here, has movement orders. We've got some movement orders here, So I think these guys right here, I was going to go over this way, but I don't think I'm going to do that now. I think I'm going to change my mind and bring these guys around down to here and try to take that spot. Now these guys are going to have to really worry about. So that's probably what the plan is going to be with them. Obviously he's not going to do anything. He's going to sit there and become a target. Probably he's going to end up being blown up very soon. This is the company commander with the green cube on it. I think I'll move him down the hill. I think I'll move this group down the hill a little bit. It's going to be rough going in through this. This is rough right here. So it's going to be hard to move through that. I think these tanks are going to come through the gap here. This is a platoon of mechanized infantry. They're going to head towards the town. And then these 2 tanks here, they're probably going to sweep around the side. So we'll see what happens. I think the Soviets are going to kind of hold tight for the most part, unless they get more stuff blown up. I know I've got to move this platoon of tanks here. And this infantry, this motorized infantry, is probably going to move up and go into town. So there's going to be a fierce infantry battle in the town. So those are the plans. We'll see kind of what happens and go from there. I'll probably do I'll do a video here very shortly that is going to cover some of my gripes and complaints. It's kind of a bit early yet, but I do have some stuff that I've already decided I don't like about the game. But it might be nitpicky, but we'll see. Everybody have a great day. Have an amazing weekend, and we'll see y'all later.